A huge shout out off the top to Matt Grzelcyk for resisting the temptation to take the extra pass, shooting a shot against the Edmonton Oilers in a 3-2 win for our Boston Bruins. We're going to talk about that, introduce the big bear of the game, and catch you up on all things Boston Bruins, as well as take a look around the NHL on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Let's get into it.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Friday, December 10th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, as well as YouTube, so please do smash that subscribe button on whatever platform you consume the podcast, audio or video. That would be very much appreciated. If you could toss up a rating or a review, that would be awesome as well. Thanks to all who checked out yesterday's episode featuring a chat with Bruins legend Sean Thornton. If you have not listened to that yet, highly recommend it. A great chat. And again, take a look at his book and add it to your Christmas list for sure. If you're on Twitter, you can follow the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins. Excuse me, same handle on Instagram. And you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. Let's get into last night's game. And the Bruins pulled off a victory over the Edmonton Oilers in Alberta on Thursday night. A huge win. The Bruins have now picked up 3 of a possible 4 points on this Western Canadian road trip, with a stop in Calgary yet to come on Saturday. But considering they're without their head coach, there was a non-COVID illness that was wreaking havoc through the roster, and also the fact that they were without Brandon Carlo in this game. He was injured in the game against Vancouver. John Moore drew in. The Bruins did take a 2-0 lead early in the second period. Brad Marchand scored a beautiful shorthanded goal late in the first, assisted by who else? Patrice Bergeron. And then local boy Jake Debrusk scored his first goal as a Bruin in his hometown, his 5th of the season on the power play, assisted by Taylor Hall. Leon Draisaitl scored 2 power play goals to tie the game for the Oilers, his 22nd and 23rd of the season, which is insane. And then Matt Grzelcyk with the game winner at the 17:27 mark of the third period. Talked so much about how the Bruins often default to making that extra pass, trying to set up the perfect play. On this one, Grzelcyk got the puck, fired it past the Edmonton goalie, and secured the win for the Boston Bruins. The Bruins were outshot in this game by a margin of 43-30. They turned it on in the third period with 15 shots of their own. The Oilers did get 16. Linus Ullmark, very strong in net. And we'll talk about how well the goaltending has been playing as of late. But Grzelcyk, he said, we ended up getting a point in Vancouver, but they weren't incredibly happy with the way that they played. They knew they had a back-to-back coming into a tough building, one of the best teams in the league in the Oilers. They have a lot of character in the team, a lot of believability. They adjusted before the game, or they acknowledged before the game that they wanted to play with a little more urgency, play with some more passion. That was kind of missing from their game on Wednesday night, which is kind of a function of everybody being sick, flying across the continent. But he thought everybody bought in and did a great job. The Bruins could have easily wilted after surrendering the 2-goal lead, but they turned it on from that point, started playing their game in the third, according to Joe Sacco. Took a couple periods to get going, but the group knew that they hadn't played their best hockey through, 3 periods in Vancouver, 2 periods in Edmonton, and they went out, turned it on, played their best hockey, and came out with the 2 points, and full credit to them for that. Now, there was some concerns with the second line again in this one. 0 shots on goal through 2 periods, although Hall did record the assist on Debrusk's power play goal. The trio stayed together for the third period in this one, and they came through on the Grzelcyk goal, combining some forechecking, some puck movement, net front presence, and Grzelcyk got the puck on his stick with a wide open lane, and he fired it past the Edmonton goalie, which stood as the game winner. The Oilers were not able to get it past Ullmark again in this one. Stuart Skinner, I should say, is the goalie of record for the Oilers last night. Sacco credited that second line. They did a lot of good things right. Started with a strong forecheck, won some puck battles, did a good job using the third forward high, kicked it out to the D. They were overloading their coverage. The Bruins had a good net front presence. Charlie Coyle did a great job in front of Skinner. They had a defenseman trying to take him out, and the goalie ended up losing sight of it. A great shot by Grzelcyk, his first goal of the season. And, it all came together on that one. Grzelcyk, again, said if the forwards are going to do a good job of going low to high, getting to the net, it's the defenseman's job to find space and reward them with getting some pucks to the net. As a team in general, they want to get more traffic in front of the goalie, play off the shot that way, and that was definitely a focus, and that's been a problem for the Bruins as well. Not only making that extra pass, but not having their shots limited to the perimeter, getting guys in front of the net for potential rebound opportunities, as well as, just disrupting the goaltender and making things difficult for them in net for sure. And that proved to be true here on this goal. Coyle said, nothing too flashy for the second line on that winning goal. Just a shot, retrieving pucks, winning battles. Craig Smith came off the wall and made a good play. Find the open man in Grzelcyk, who finished it. Guys going to the net. They execute that. They bring their compete, win battles, and they're going to see opportunities. Not always going to be perfect. Not going to always go in your favor, he added, but sometimes you've got to grind it out. Now, on that second line, Taylor Hall was limited in ice time in this one, only 11 minutes and 37 seconds. He did record 2 assists and 1 shot on goal. So perhaps a message was sent to him kind of at intermission. I think Connor Ryan of the Boston Hockey Journal said he didn't play like the last 8 so minutes of the second period. And his effort was a bit up in the third, and it really needs to stay that way in order for the Bruins to be competitive night in and night out. We'll get to some more items from this game as well as announce the big bear of the game. But first, a quick word about Built Bar. The holiday season is upon us. You can grab a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, sometimes even better than a candy bar, to be honest. Built Bar is filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. Get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. Comes in so many delicious flavors, you're going to have a hard time choosing when you visit Built.com. Gives you that extra fuel to get through family gatherings, holiday shopping, and you can even ask Santa to throw a few Built Bars in your stocking. It's a great stocking stuffer. Pro tip, grab some Built Bars, make yourself a big mug of hot chocolate, dip in the Built Bar, take a bite. It is unreal, especially if you go with one of the marshmallow puff bars. that they have available right now. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you will get 15% off your order. Don't wait. Make sure they arrive in time for Christmas or for your next family gathering. That's built.com, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off. Also want to talk for a moment about Stance. Founded in 2009, Stance Apparel represents a radical reinvention of socks, underwear, and active apparel. With a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity, Stance brings an atypical aesthetic alongside some of pop culture's hottest collaborators for the ultimate in style and self-expression. Everything you wear should be a direct extension of who you are and how you feel. Stance believes that the perfect fit matters more than fitting in. Those who feel good, do good. Go see for yourself. Register for an account at stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout to apply. Enjoy the color and comfort of a life less ordinary with Stance. Thank you again for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. Really means a lot. And I do appreciate all the support. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, whether it's on your podcast app or on YouTube. The YouTube channel is really growing. A lot of people starting to comment on the videos, which I really appreciate. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. And let's keep the conversation about our Boston Bruins going. I should mention on Jake Debrusk's goal, I was watching the Sportsnet feed since I am up here in Canada, and a interesting wrinkle is that Louis Debrusk, who is Jake's father, is doing color for the Edmonton Oilers on Sportsnet. When Jake scored, Louis said, "Not going to lie, feel pretty good watching my kids score a goal live while I'm calling a game." He added, "It's been a bit of a tough stretch for him." And again, it was nice, certainly, to see Jake get on the board. It was the first time in his career that he scored against his hometown team, being a native of Edmonton. His fifth goal of the season. Joe Sacco said he thought he was good tonight, liked the way he was skating, thought that he put some speed with Eric Halla on that line with Nick Foligno. Jake was good. Anytime one of your players scores, you're happy for them. But there's other things that you're looking for in their game, and his details were better tonight. Fluto Shinzawa of The Athletic had a note about Debrusk's trade request and why nothing has been done so far, about 10 days after it has been made public. One of the wrinkles is his qualifying offer at the end of the season. It will be $4.41 million. 120% of the $3.675 million average annual value on his current contract. So it's a big number that the acquiring team either has to commit to or walk away from, risk him signing elsewhere as a UFA, as Nick Ritchie and Andre Kasha did with the Toronto Maple Leafs, or renegotiate terms with him on a different deal, and he'd have to be amenable to that as well. So there's some risk there for sure, on top of his performance or lack thereof over the last couple of seasons. So that is perhaps one of the reasons why there's a bit of a delay here. The holiday trade freeze is coming up. Will something be done before, after, at all? I kind of joke that maybe we can just kind of forget that it ever happened. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. But that was a nice goal for sure. Assisted by Taylor Hall, the local boy, scoring on a goal assisted by a player that he watched and idolized growing up, which was pretty cool. That shorthanded goal by Marchand was his 32nd career shorthanded goal, just extending his franchise lead. And he and Bergeron on the penalty kill, just unreal. And they likely will be playing that role for Team Canada at the Olympics in Beijing, if indeed NHL players are in attendance. Now, Big Bear of the Game, a new award being handed out here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast to the player who stepped up huge And, we always talk about poking the bear. Well, this guy has been poked quite a bit in his short time with the Boston Bruins. That is goaltender Linus Ullmark. He played probably, arguably, his best goal performance for the Boston Bruins, stopping 41 of 43 shots against a ridiculously talented team in the Edmonton Oilers. Draisaitl had 2 goals on 6 assists, 6 shots. McDavid had 4 shots. Jesse Puljujarvi had 4 shots. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had a bunch. Darnell Nurse 5 from the point. Scott McLaughlin of WEEI, he pointed out this morning that the Bruins goaltending has been spot on over the last little bit. Since November 20th, I believe, the Bruins have the 4th ranked save percentage in the NHL, climbed into the top 10 in team save percentage for the season after ranking in the bottom 10 through the first month. Now 6th in goals allowed per game. So that was a source of concern for the Boston Bruins. Certainly early on, the goaltending not really coming through. Jeremy Swayman played well to begin the season. Ullmark, it's taken some time to settle in, which is completely understandable considering, he's joining a new team, joining a new system. And for all the, criticism that he faced early on, he has been pretty dynamite lately. Aside from the 875 save percentage that he posted in a 2-1 loss to Detroit on November 30th. Before that, 947 save percentage against the Vancouver Canucks in a 3-2 win, a 935 save percentage against the Philadelphia Flyers in a 5-2 win, and then the 953 mark that he posted last night. So that's 3 wins in his last 4 games with sparkling numbers. And again, to hold off a team like the Edmonton Oilers, to limit them to 2 goals on 43 shots is quite amazing. So credit to Ullmark. Charlie Coyle said he was awesome tonight, very special, made some huge saves when the Bruins needed it. They know that he's capable of that. Don't always want to rely on the goaltenders a whole lot, even though they have confidence in them, but he showed it tonight and helped tremendously in the win. Ullmark said he started, particularly he made a save on Warren Foegele in the 3rd period, 2-pad windmill style stop. And he said, he kind of just ended up being that windmill thing, one of those saves that's good to have in your arsenal, in your toolbox. Not something that you always want to rely on, but it showed kind of his flexibility and his versatility. With the recent performance of the goaltending, the Bruins now at 14th ranked when it comes to goaltending at 5-on-5. Their numbers at 5-on-5 are incredibly strong, except for shooting percentage. You can't always rely on the underlying numbers. You have to watch the games still. It's a balancing act for sure when it comes to advanced stats, but there's no denying that the Bruins are a top team when it comes to shot attempt differential. They're 4th in the NHL. When it comes to shots per game differential, 5-on-5, they're 2nd in the NHL. When it comes to high danger chances, 5-on-5, they're 2nd in the NHL. When it comes to expected goals differential, they're 2nd in the NHL. The only thing holding them back is that shooting percentage, which is 32nd at 5.55. That all leads me to think that they are due for an offensive breakout sooner than later. You can say they're not playing the right way to produce, or they're not outplaying teams. That's why the underlying numbers are perhaps a bit deceiving, but the numbers are there. They're regularly out shooting the opposition, and they're getting those high danger chances and expected goals. This was the rare night where they were outshot, but they put it together, got the win. didn't make that extra pass on that Grzelcyk goal, which was amazing, and got the timely saves from Ullmark as well. If they can play like that on a consistent basis, and this was without Brandon Carlo, John Moore in, then I think they'll be okay. It's way too early to overreact. This team has only played like 23 games so far, barely a quarter of the way through the season. In the Eastern Conference, they are 7th ranked right now in terms of point percentage. I said yesterday there was a lot of talk about, is it time to trade Bergeron? Do you look to trade him because, this season's a write-off? They're not in a playoff position. Well, no, they're not. If you look at points per se, they're 9th right now, a point behind Detroit. They have 4 games in hand. You have to look at that. They have a +5 goal differential. Detroit's at -14. Are they as good as the top 6 teams in the East right now? In Florida, Carolina, the Rangers, Capitals, Lightning, Toronto? Probably not, but they're still a playoff team. You're not trading Marchand and Bergeron when you're a playoff team. And it's taken some time for things to come together. They, have had this crazy schedule. They've had trade request distractions, COVID protocols, injuries. They are 10 points back of the Toronto Maple Leafs right now with 5 games in hand. So 3rd place is in reach right now. Even if you want to get into 3rd, you want to get into 3rd and play the Lightning in the first round? Maybe not. All that to say, the Bruins are well positioned to improve offensively. It's all there except for the goals. And I think it's way too early to start worrying about this team or start thinking about selling at the trade deadline. That's just fodder for sports talk radio. Before we get to some news and notes from around the NHL, quick word about BetOnline. They have you covered for all the props, odds, and lines this season as football continues its march to the playoffs, and they have you covered for hockey, college pro, basketball, boxing, UFC. Head to their website right now. It's new, it's updated. Sign up for a free account, and you can get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive that bonus. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. So congrats to Linus Ullmark for earning the inaugural Big Bear of the Game award here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. Something that I will hand out every game here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I mentioned those ridiculous comments from Mike Milbury on the radio yesterday, suggesting the Bruins need to move on from Patrice Bergeron, perhaps even Brad Marchand. Bergeron is a UFA, but, come on. It's just ridiculous. It's barely even worth mentioning. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Congrats to Marc-Andre Fleury for earning his 500th career win. I believe he was he's the 3rd goalie in NHL history to reach that mark. Dylan Strome, I should add, was a healthy scratch for the Blackhawks last night. Still a guy that I would target, especially with Taylor Hall not quite clicking with Coyle and Smith at the moment. It would be amazing to build a line around Strome and Hall, perhaps Oscar Steen on the right side, and see what happens there. I would still really like to see that happen. The NHL Board of Governors voted to approve the sale of the Penguins to Fenway Sports. It's in the range of the $900 million mark, not $900 mark. Also, the Board of Governors approved the Respect Hockey program introduced by League Executive Kim Davis to ensure its commitment to inclusion, diversity, safety, and respect for its players and employees. Sheldon Kennedy and his Respect Hockey group will also be part of the initiative. This comes in light of the Chicago Blackhawks sexual assault scandal, Kyle Beach came forward with the story following an independent investigation. And, hopefully this does indeed make an impact. It's very easy to be skeptical about the NHL and a move to actual change. But hopefully with Sheldon Kennedy, who's been through so much in his life, coming on board, he keeps them accountable. Bit of drama in the desert as the Arizona Coyotes owed money to the city of Glendale. Apparently they paid that off, but doesn't seem as though they're destined to remain in the desert for too much longer. And finally, the Vancouver Canucks announced Jim Rutherford has been hired as their new president of hockey operations. He recently worked for the Pittsburgh Penguins, guiding them to 2 Stanley Cup championships. Also won a cup as general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes. So he has also developed quite a reputation as a mover and a shaker. He made a lot of trades when he was with the Penguins. So perhaps some of the struggling Canucks will be made available at some point, and Don Sweeney might pick up the phone and make a call to Rutherford. That is it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. A lot to talk about, a lot to be encouraged about by their performance last night against the Edmonton Oilers. One of the more encouraging games of the season so far. They're now taking the day off in Alberta. I would assume they might be driving from Edmonton down to Calgary, maybe stopping at Lake Louise, Banff, checking out some sites on the way. They will return to play one home game on next Tuesday against the Vegas Golden Knights before hitting the road again for some very winnable games against the Islanders, Canadiens, and Senators. So hopefully they can keep this positive momentum going. It'd be great to pick up at least another point against Calgary. 4 out of 6 points would be pretty good. Probably more than I would have expected from this trip. And head home and get ready to face Vegas. But we'll talk about that next week. Of course, I'll keep you updated on any happenings on the Jake Debrusk trade front. So please follow Locked NHL Bruins on Twitter to keep up there. And if a trade does break today or over the weekend, certainly we'll be recording a bonus pod. We've got our first family gathering this weekend for the holidays. I'm very excited for the Succession season finale. And taking the boys to hockey as well on Sunday. So that's pretty much my weekend in the bag. I hope you all have a great Friday to end the week. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch you again on Monday with another episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Take care, friends.